And time is fast running out for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to take a call on US-backed peace plan. President Donald Trump has set November 27th as the deadline for Ukraine to accept the proposal. Now, speaking at the Oval Office, Trump said that Zelensky will have to approve the peace plan if any progress is to be made towards ending the war. Otherwise, the two sides should just keep fighting.
Have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then they should just keep fighting, I guess. Yeah, we have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it.
While Trump also reminded Zelensky of his limited bargaining power, referring to the infamous Oval Office meeting between the two leaders earlier this year. Trump remarked that the Ukrainian president does not have the cards to dictate terms of the war.
At some point, he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war.
According to reports, the peace plan calls on Ukraine to give up the eastern Donbas region and recognize Crimea, Luhansk and Donetsk as part of Russia. Ukraine is also expected to withdraw its forces from parts of Donetsk Oblast that it controls. The proposed plan limits Ukraine's armed forces to 600,000 personnel and prohibits it from joining NATO, but makes it eligible for an EU membership. Additionally, no NATO troops will be present in Ukraine. The peace plan also states that Kyiv must hold elections in 100 days, agree to be a non-nuclear state, and if Ukraine agrees to these conditions, it will receive security guarantees and a global package to rebuild itself. Reports also suggest that Trump has threatened to cut vital intelligence sharing and weapons supplies for Ukraine if it fails to agree to the proposed peace plan. This puts Kyiv in a delicate position. Since the Russian invasion of Crimea in 2014, the US has been supplying Kyiv with a continuous stream of electronic, satellite and human intelligence. US's intel support has proved decisive in the battlefield in making Ukrainian attacks on the Russian military more effective. Now, if Trump were to pause intelligence sharing with Ukraine, Europe would emerge as the most obvious alternative source. But the big question is, can Europe match the scale, speed and quality of American military intelligence? Well, firstly, Europe will need a stark increase in funding from the likes of France, UK and Germany to step up intelligence collection. It will also require a strong focus on coordination and overcoming some European legal restrictions on sharing intelligence. But more importantly, Europe will have to overcome 70 years of institutional memory to create new working patterns in the absence of critical US support. The peace plan has sent ripples across Europe, with leaders voicing concerns that it could leave Ukraine vulnerable. European leaders and key allies met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in South Africa and said in a joint statement that the plan requires additional work. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the continued US efforts to bring peace in Ukraine, calling the peace plan as essential for a just and lasting peace. Von der Leyen emphasized that the draft is a basis which will require additional work. Now, Ukraine President Zelensky also echoed similar sentiments. In a video address, Zelensky said that Ukraine will consult with partners in the days ahead, hinting that both Europe and Ukraine are not going to reject Trump's peace plan outright.
In the coming days, we will consult with partners on the steps required to end the war. I have signed a decree on the composition of the Ukraine delegation. All relevant directives have been approved. Our representatives know how to protect Ukraine's national interests and what exactly is needed to prevent Russia from carrying out a third invasion, another blow to Ukraine.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are scheduled to arrive in Geneva on Sunday to discuss Trump's peace plan. U.S. Secretary of the Army Daniel Driscoll has already arrived in Geneva. The talks will be crucial since Driscoll had met Ukrainian President Zelensky earlier in the week.